I threw my DJ friends some red meat on social media tonight, and I thought it only fair to throw my YouTube viewer friends some of that same red meat for you to chew on, get your opinion on something. I'm not going to read you the post, I'll just tell you what happened. So a friend of mine contacted me today and said a bar in downtown Milwaukee was looking for a DJ for Halloween night. I said, okay, well, there's this other bar that I normally play on Halloween. They haven't committed yet, but let me give them the first right of refusal. So I did. They weren't sure if logistically they were going to have a DJ this Halloween because of some security issues. I said, all right, cool. Well, let me know if this is what you want to do, but there is somebody else down here that's looking for a DJ for Halloween. I'm like, you know what? Don't let us hold you back. Take the job. Like, all right, cool. So I went ahead and told my friend, yeah, they're not ready to commit yet, so let's go ahead and do this. Talked to this bar. Very nice. 500 capacity venue. They said, okay, we need sound and lighting. We don't have either one of those things. So we need everything. You need to come down and DJ for a few hours. It's 3 miles away from my house. It's really close. And I'm thinking, you know what? This bar might be repeat business. They may need somebody quite a bit to come down here. I'm right down the road. I can come down and do this, and it's in my neighborhood. This might be real sweet, you know? So how can I give them a really good deal? So, man, if I only charged them my normal low club rate, my low bar club rate, non-peak night rate, which is $100 an hour, went for like 3 hours, and I only charged them $200 for sound and lighting rental, setup, breakdown, the whole bit, even though it's downtown, that's $500. That's a really good deal for them. And if it's repeat business, hey, cool, you know, not making a fortune, but I'm making a couple bucks. So I throw the number at them, and they're like, yeah, we were thinking $350. I'm sorry, I can't do it for $350. So I really like you. I like you to do this. I wish I could just pull the trigger on this, but I've got to talk to my bosses and approve this. I said, okay, that's fine. That's cool, but keep my number if you ever need me for anything. So I get a text back, and it says something to the effect of, look, if you've got like a big social media following and you can bring people into our bar that night, could you prove that and send us some links? Maybe we can justify your fee of $500 for sound, lighting, and performance for 3 hours. Ouch. Wow. I thought I was giving him a deal at $500, right? And they're asking for more. They Billy Idled me. More. They want me to do a promotion for him too? That, you know, included in the $500? Wow. It really kind of hurt my heart. I was trying to be a good guy, you know? I was trying to be fair, you know, thinking, hey, maybe this is some stuff I could do on off nights at this fair price. And yeah, no. And I threw the question out there, which I'm going to ask you too. Would you do a 500 person capacity bar with sound and lighting for 3 or 4 hours for $500 or $600? Would you do it? A lot of people responded, and the answers varied. And I'm going to read you a couple of responses that just stuck out to me. Somebody said, could you ask them to meet you partway at 400 and tell them that if they like you for future shows, it would be 500? I can't do that. And here's why I can't do that. I did the math with my Ape lights and my mixer and my Evolve 30M speakers. I looked at retail price for this stuff, you know, plus cabling, plus cases, and all those incidentals. And you're looking at about 10 grand. Okay? So if I'm only charging him $200 for the equipment, that's only 2% of the retail price. And then it's only another $300 for the performance for like 3 hours. That is like a gift. If it's $400, I'm only charging him 1% of the $10,000 worth of stuff that I'm bringing to the event. If I drop it $100. And then somebody else said, and he's a good guy, but I have a really hard time conveying this to people. He says, the same equipment sitting in your house, $0. You already spent the money. Sitting on it makes you nothing. I don't know how to explain this. I've tried to many times. But a lot of DJs have it in their minds that if you own the equipment, it costs you nothing. Just use it. Well, it does cost you something. Every gig that you do with a piece of gear is one gig closer to failure, because you got to replace stuff eventually, right? Let me put it to you a way that maybe you'll understand. I don't know if you will or not, but I'm going to give this a try. This bag of peanut M&Ms, which I love, was on sale for $2 at the gas station tonight. I don't know how many M&Ms are in this bag, but let's pretend we feel like there's probably 20 M&Ms in this bag. Now, if every time somebody came down into the dungeon, they said, "Can I have an M&M?" And I said, "Sure," and I gave an M&M. And then, after 20 people, I don't have any M&Ms. Yeah, maybe there's an extra 5 in there. I don't know exactly how many are in here. It's about 20. Then I'd have to go to the gas station and spend another $2 on a bag of M&Ms to even have one. On the other hand, if every time somebody wanted an M&M, they gave me 10 cents, if there's 20 M&Ms in this bag, I could just go buy another bag of M&Ms. There's nothing in it for me. I can just replace the bag of M&Ms that everybody else ate at 10 cents a piece. I know it's petty, but I'm just trying to give you an example here. Okay? Now let's pretend there's 25 M&Ms in this bag, and I still charged 10 cents per M&M. I made a profit of 50 cents. Oh my God! No, that's okay that you made a profit. But understand, just because I own this bag of M&Ms doesn't mean that when it's gone, I don't have to replace it. Just like your speaker system. If I charge 1% for gear rental on like the speakers, for instance, those speakers have to last me 100 gigs before I realize any payback on those speakers, let alone money to buy the next set when they die. Same thing with lighting, same thing with your mixing board and all that stuff. This is why, just because you own the gear doesn't mean that it's going to last you forever. If you just give it away every time you take it out, when it dies, you're SOL. Especially if you're not charging much of anything for your performance. You can't dip into that money. I don't know how much it costs you to function every week, but it costs me some money to function, right? Food, gas, electric, insurance, taxes, repairs on the house, unforeseen things. God forbid you'd have a little fun once in a while. Where's the gear money going to come from? If you don't charge for it, you have to charge for it. If you don't, it's costing you money in the long run to do the job at all. At $400, it would cost me money in the long run to do this job. I used the allocated lifespan of my gear for this gig for 1% of what it costs. That's not right. Yeah, your speakers should last you 100, 200, 300 gigs ideally, but let's pretend they don't. Then what? Things happen. Have you had to buy a computer lately? Whew, boy, that was a hard hit. But you know what? I charged enough for my services where it wasn't that hard of a hit. I didn't feel it that much. It was there, but you got to charge for your stuff. If the stuff doesn't fail, great, then you're making money. But if it does, you're paying for things. You've got to be responsible about the stuff or you will lose. This becomes a charity after a while. And it shouldn't be that. This is a business. What successful business can you think of that gives everything away? A successful business, mind you. Whether they buy a work truck or a tool or a piece of machinery or whatever. They're charging you for it every time they come to your house and do a service call or they work on your car or whatever. They have to, because when it breaks, they got to replace it, and that money has to come from somewhere. And that's where it comes from. I don't know if my cool M&M story inspired you, bored you, confused you, whatever, but I was just trying to think of a way to try to explain this. And seeing how it's a Halloween gig, I figured candy was appropriate. Some of the other comments. A lot of people, hell no. And there are a lot of people who, it said, I don't leave the house for a lot more money than that. And I typically don't either. When I think about weddings, Yeah, I'm thinking about all the gear that I bring and what that would be. Usually 5%, which at $10,000, it's $500. I mean, that's just the gear. Like I said, liability insurance, gas, and then I have to pay myself for my performance. I'm worth something. I mean, it's one thing to devalue yourself, but Jesus, come on, I'm worth something. I have to make money somewhere. This is my job. I have to make money on performance. I've got experience. The money I was charging them to do this bar was a gift. At that price, it was like, hey, let's just be cool. You're right down the road. I can pick up a job here and there with you, not making a fortune, but I'm working. It's better than nothing, right? Now, something is better than nothing. But if you go out at a loss, nothing would be better. You see what I'm saying here? If it costs me money to do the job, how about don't do the job? That's where I'm at. I have to at least break even to justify going out. I don't want to work for nothing, but I would rather work for nothing than at a loss. I think I've exhausted that point. But yeah, there's some good comments in here. Most people, yeah, they wouldn't have done it. But there's no negotiation on this. I mean, I gave them a rock bottom clear price, and it's okay, and I was tired and I had a long day and it hurt my feelings. I needed a hug. I feel better now, and I understand that every gig is my gig, and I went in this with the best intentions, and it just didn't work out, and that's okay. But yeah, it was better to turn it down than take it, in my opinion. What'd you do? Let us know in the comment section. That's it. I'm turning this camera off and gonna try to get this video uploaded so you have some raw meat to chew on tonight. Practice and enjoy.